Hey there, welcome to Unimaginable Futures Class 11. Yay! So what has been showing up for you all over the last few weeks? Yeah, all over the world right now, like at the time that we're doing this, we're kind of all on a shutdown, are we not? And how has that been affecting what you're doing out in the world? Are you still creating? Are you hibernating? Are you watching Netflix nonstop? Are you reading? Are you asking questions? Are you sleeping? It's been a lot of any and all of that for everybody. So at this time, I'm gonna go through what we were going to talk about this week with a few adjustments for those of us who might be on a little bit of a quarantine or a lockdown. Some might not, but you can still play with the energies that I'm going to talk about here this week. And it's raining yet again here today, so my hair's a little crazy, so excuse my crazy hair today. What I wanted to talk about today is through this class over the last 10 weeks, we've talked about getting clear on on how you create, getting clear on the energies you would like your life to be, playing in the energies that you would like your life to be, getting clear on what your authentic energy is, getting clear on what's not your authentic energy, getting clear on that as intuitive beings that we could be picking up lots of energies all around us and how to just oust those out so that we have a clearer and clearer space of our energy. And so now that we're in this space, what I want to do is kind of play. So are you willing to play this week? And what I'm going to talk about a bit is creating under the radar. What is creating under the radar? What would that mean to you? Because we're all already, if you've signed up for this class, chances are that you're creating outside of the constructs of this reality, right? We know there's a little bit of a matrix going on. We know there's a lot of different things in place. We also know that there's a lot of energies that can interfere with us. But when you come at it from a place of true personal power and standing in that true personal power, then anything is possible. Know that you can change and shift anything. Know that you can call in anything. Know that you can focus on anything. Know that you can really do anything with that. And right now, as we're seeing out in the world with this possible pandemic, and that could be a whole other class on that, the energies of that I get. I would just say, what is your awareness about it? But anyway, so as we're kind of in a little bit of a lockdown, we've had to rethink the way that we do a lot of things. And actually, you're seeing people either freak out about it or you're seeing people create the holy crap out of it. It's like they're just going beyond. That's like, oh, okay, that's nice, but I'm still going to do this over here. So what I would ask, like all the way up front, is what else is possible with all of it, and just receive. And what possibilities are here that I might not have considered otherwise, and receive. And how much fun could we have with it all? Well, maybe a little bit, maybe a lot. So let's do, sorry, I'm just trying to get comfortable on my little white chair here. So back to the question of what does creating under the radar truly mean to you? Well, when we ask the questions in regard to who we are, what our unique brilliance is, or what we do or be best, does it come in loud or does it actually come in as a whisper? It kind of comes in as a whisper, right? And it's almost like we have this large option of possibilities. and we hear over to the right, you know? And so then we kind of have to go to, is that me, someone else, or something else? That's not me, out. And then, okay, what's possible here? And then if it is you, like if it's guidance for you, so this is where it can get a little tricky. And this is why I wanted to talk about this today, creating under the radar, because as you lean further into possibilities, as you lean further into consciousness, you'll realize A, most people aren't choosing consciousness in this world. B, that makes you pretty damn special. C, and I hate doing that, but C is like you have a power and a potency that's also just kind of like a quiet ease. People that I've coached and worked with, you know, for a year or more usually say, yeah, you had this thing that you kept telling me, and you kept telling me, and I would ask you questions thinking that you were going to give me a different answer, and you kept telling me, and it was very very slight, almost like the slightest of shifts that I could choose to make in my life, but I wasn't seeing it yet. Sometimes that's how these things show up, and that's kind of how this class is built and that's kind of how I've learned over the last many years of choosing consciousness and diving straight in and wanting to get all the information about it and looking at what everybody was doing and getting certified in whatever everybody was doing. And I mean, I truly dive in. And I've learned a lot of things that have been just amazing. And I've learned a lot of things that have been not so fun. So I'm going to point that out here today because I would rather you skip the not so fun part. But sometimes it is in the slightest of shifts, in that whisper tone that's coming to you, that's kind of showing you like, hey, over here. Where does the hey over here come from? It comes from asking a question. So there's a part of asking a question. And if you don't know what question to ask, what question could I ask here? And then just wait for an energy. Again, you're not waiting for an answer. You're just looking for an energy to kind of be the invitation to you. To me, and it could be different for everybody. I know everybody's just a tad bit different, but most people seem to be in the realm of what it is for me. So when I am onto something, it's almost like the energy opens up and I feel my heart open up. So when I'm consulting with people on their businesses, or when I'm consulting with people on how do I brand myself and how do I do, you know, or even in coaching part of this, when we hit something that's like right on, my heart will open up, my energy will open up, and it's like, whoa, that just seems like such a yummy possibility. It's almost like it's similar to the energy of the orgasm. For those of you who like those. In fact, I don't know that I know anybody who doesn't like that, but that's how we can have that out in the world, is really just asking the open-ended question, waiting for the answer, not necessarily answer, but waiting for, energy, just getting sidetracked there. So any unconscious, anti-conscious energy, fog manipulation, Wernicke's commands, stacks, rings, or booby traps, or any other like energies up here, clear. Sorry, just sometimes when I'm sharing this information, I'll get sent a little sideways, so I just have to clear. That's what can be happening to you out there in real life. You get this really cool idea, it opens up your heart, and then you start moving toward it, and it's like, hey, over here. Now, the hey over here could be authentic, or the hey over here could be interference. And that's where really, that's why we do this 12 weeks of honing in our energy and practicing every day with it, so that we can be very clear what is interference and what is us. And is it in the energies of what I would like my life to be? That's kind of another way to show you like interference. Because I'm interested in a lot of things. I don't know about you, but I'm interested in a ton of things all the time. And when I get a hey over here that just seems like, man, it's not really lining up with the energies that I would like my life to be, and it's not really directly related to the question that I asked or what I'm actually looking for, chances are it's going to be interference. A lot of times it's in the form of a data stream or a time stream. You'll get a memory of Billy Joe back in the day, and you'll be like, what in the world did that come in for? And it doesn't seem to have anything to do with anything. But somewhere along the line in your life, you might have made it significant. So what interference can do is tap in and just see what you've made significant. Doesn't need to make sense to them. They're just throwing at you whatever they can throw at you to interfere with whatever it is you're doing, because you're a pretty potent, powerful being. And you will always be more potent and powerful than them. And you have the ability to discern the energies of things, and they do not. Why? Because they're like a program. They are like a computer program. They can only do a certain amount of parameters. They can't create. Only you can create. You're an infinite being who can create on this planet and this beautiful earth within the reality, and most of the time right outside of the constructs of it. So the thing to look for is that, like, if you're being sent sideways and it doesn't make sense, ask, is this me, someone else, something else? It's not those things. If it's none of those things and it is you, then okay, cool. What other questions could I ask here? What's the fastest way for me to get from where I am? This is from Jaden Fox. I love this question. What's the fastest way to get from where I am to where I'm going? But you got to know where you're going. So with a lot of this energy work, this is what's tricky about it. You got to be clear of where you're going. That's why we start with the energies you would like your life to be. Once you've played with them over these 12 weeks, expand out from that and make them a little bit more narrower. Now that you've played in the general energy of it, you get the feel of it, you kind of know it, you see how it shows up in life, and now you can just add a little bit more narrow parameters to it, right? Because we're just, at the end of the day, we're playing, so that if there's something specific that you want, this is where, one, be truly committed to you and your life. No one else can do that. The president can't give you that. Your state congressman can't give you that. Your boss can't give you that. Even if you're in a job, you're pretty much self-employed, right? You could be let go at any time. I'm sure, minus any other additional rules we have on there with an employment contract, you really could be let go at any time. So who are you really working for? You're working for yourself. And you're doing life for yourself. And if you try to do it for, you can, by doing that and stepping in that space and really honing in and owning your own personal power and being committed to you and you only. Now I say you and you only right here, right now. You got to do that first. By doing that, you expand the potentials and possibilities of everyone. Just by choosing you. And we're told the opposite. We've said this a few times during this class, so I just wanted to reiterate. Choose you first. Create for you. Get clear now in a little bit narrower fashion of like, oh, the energies that I would like my life to be are elegance and prosperity and cool this and that and fun play. Now, what could show up that could have all those things and this? Like the narrower part of that. Where could I have co-creative work partners that could show up and play? Where could I have a co-creative relationship that could show up? Or if you're in one, that could expand to that. Or if it's already there, that it could expand even more. The misnomer is that we're looking for a destination. We're actually not. We're always constantly looking for what cool thing could be created. And so anywhere, and I had a lot of this, I've had to like clear the holy moly out of this, where we've made creation like work, where we've made creation this heavy thing, where we've defined creation as, so anyway, let's just say this, anywhere where we've aligned and agree with creation, resisted or reacted to creation, defended for, defended against, oh, there's a lot defended against, and then righteous for and righteous against. Wow, there's a lot of against on that one, against creation. So whatever that is, are you willing to just let that go? Let's just take all the energies of all of that and shrink it down to less than nothing and move on. Because at the end of the day, it's always a choice. You always have a choice. You can let whatever you're going on and on about go, or you could stay in it. You could choose it. Even if you let it go, you could bring it back and kind of look at it again and again and again. But do you enjoy being in that crazy eight? I call it the crazy eight because you're like, and he said this and he didn't do that. Boy, if only they would do this and only, and it sends you into this weird like memory crazy eight, not memory crazy eight, but like brain crazy eight, which is the question why, and you're never going, it's really not a question. It just sends you sideways, sends you into immense interference. And you're really kind of choosing it for yourself and you're putting yourself there. And a lot of it is unconscious because we've been taught to do that in this reality. Oh, let me figure it out. You hear that all the time. Let me figure it out. Let me look at this. Let me figure it out. I've got to think about it. Well, where does that put you? Like when you really truly make a decision, do you make it from a gut feeling of, I know that this is going to be amazing. I know this is going to be amazing. Where do we have so many aspects of knowing that just we don't pay attention to? So that's where the whisper tones come in. So most of the time we might be having a conversation with ourselves and that can be a little bit of a whisper. It's like whisper. We're talking about cats today. Whisper or just going to like, I'll say it. Let me do it again. Any unconsciousness, any back consciousness, energy, thought, manipulation, learning case, commands, text, ringers, or any other like energies up here. Clear. Booby traps. Yes. And when I just wiggle my hands, that means I'm just clearing energy because that was kind of sending me sideways. So that's when I know we're onto something. So when we go to the whisper tones of what shows up, a lot of times the avenue or the road that's ours, roads that are possibility, not everybody around us is possibility, not our neighbor's possibility, not our friend's possibility, comes in just like, what about this? And then it just probably like go off somewhere else, and it might be that you're not looking at it. It's like, where has success come in for you that way in your life? Can you name some places where success has come in like that for you in your life? For me, the thing that comes up is this house that I'm currently in. And I could sell it tomorrow. I could live here for 20 more years. I don't have a point of view about that. I really don't. I love the house. It's great. It has cool energy in it. I love being in it. I have my office here. And I've got plenty of space. And it's in a beautiful area where there's like birds that chirp in the morning and lots of wildlife and et cetera, et cetera. And so it was everything that I had really asked for in a place to live, because I guess I've been here now just over 20 years. And My ex-husband and I, we were always looking at new houses and looking at new buildings and looking at how builders were building things and looking at going to, showcase houses and just looking at different aspects and aesthetics of a home. The thing that I love is like, and right now I'm getting ready to change this color out because I've had this for a very long time. But my thing is like combinations of aesthetics, like artwork, paint color, very textured things. Um, so the house that we had like knocked out all kinds of walls, rearranged stuff, redone a kitchen, not structural walls, by the way. We knew not to do that. We had just really renovated this house to be really, really cool space where we were. And what happened was we had talked about putting it on the market and we weren't necessarily there yet, but we had done kind of all the legwork. We had looked at all the aspects of what we liked in a house, where we wanted to be. We kind of put those all down together. Like we lived on a busy street near downtown Roswell, Georgia, which was cool for a little bit. But once you get lots of traffic and they're not really widening the road, and if they do widen the road, then it's kind of in your yard and, all those things. It was a cool house in that it kind of went down a hill and was in a little valley. And so we didn't really hear noise from it being a busy street. And we had a nice pool out back, and we had like almost, I think, 2 acres of land. Really cool, just nice, close to everything. But then you had a little bit of, but the whole thing was, my ex-husband was tired of taking care of a pool. He had grown up in Florida and was kind of done with taking care of the pool. He had done it his whole life. That was kind of his job, and I could totally get that, because my job as a kid used to be I had to clean all the bathrooms before leaving and going anywhere. So how quick can I clean a bathroom today? Pretty darn quick, and I was not happy about it at the time, but it's a skill that I developed. So sometimes that comes in, like it might come in not as total ease, but just as a possibility. But if you look past what doesn't seem like total ease, is there a possibility energy there, right? Not that I want to, clean bathrooms for my life, but if I had to go do that, I would go do that. The whole thing is like we got really clear on what we desired. And at the time, he traveled most of the week. And so I spent a lot of time, with friends and other things and traveling and doing things. But when I was home, I was usually kind of like tootling around my area because I loved this city and looking for all the aspects that we were looking for. And one day it was like I just was drawn to, I actually had, that was before I kind of had did a deep dive into consciousness. I had done some study of different things leading up to that point, but not to the intense extent that I will do a few years later. But we had kind of like looked at all the aspects we liked and started just playing with that. And then what ended up happening is somebody sold their house across from us, and the real estate agent had been talking to us for a long, long time. And she had somebody who was looking, we learned later was her, who was looking for a house just like ours. And she loved our house. She had come to see it and had talked to us a little bit. And we said, hey, you know what, we're not ready, but when we are, let's chat. So she kept visiting, and she had just sold the house across from us, which was a really cool property, and on a lot of land, etc. I think it's next to a horse farm, had some other stuff. Anyway, beautiful area. She came over and we just decided to, hey, let's do it. Well, I think it sold in like just a couple days. Because we learned later that she was actually the one who wanted it. So we had to kind of get an outside agent to do the transaction. But so it sold in a couple days. We had to be out, I think, in 30 days. And I think we negotiated a few more, like a couple more weeks. Because we both at that time teleworked. We worked from home. I had my whole business from home. So I had all these phone systems, this, that, equipment. all that stuff. I did printing and branding and all that stuff, and I had a lot of that stuff in my home office at that time. And so we're looking and we're looking, and it kind of gets down. She's taking me out to look at all these houses during the week, and then when he's around, I'm taking pictures of the ones that I like, and we're kind of talking it over, and nothing's really hitting it, right? Nothing's really hitting these aspects of what we wanted. But I'm narrowing it down. It's like, oh, I like this about this, but I don't necessarily like this. I like that, and we probably see that on HGTV today, right? Like, I like this, but I don't like this. And he was totally open because he had been used to, like, he grew up with a few brothers, and they were always like, they would renovate houses. They would renovate their own houses. He had renovated his brother's house while he was traveling. So it's like he wasn't opposed to renovating something. Now me, I had lived through I had always lived in a newer house, and I had lived through the renovation process with him, not only with that property, but another property we took on not too far from where we were. And it was just a lot of work because we did a lot of it ourselves. And so I was kind of guided down this road. I kept seeing the name of the subdivision that I now currently live in. I kept seeing that name everywhere. It was weird. It was funny. And when I think about it now, it really wasn't funny because we were calling it in, right? We were calling in exactly what we wanted. And it came down to, we looked at this beautiful renovated house, still needed a tiny bit of renovating. It was in an older neighborhood, so it was an older house, but it was beautiful. They had done a beautiful job. And then I stumbled upon the house that I'm in now. And there was just something about it that like just kept pestering me. Whispers, right? Whispers. At that time, I would say it was pretty intense because it was like we had to find a place to live, and we had a compressed amount of time. So anyway, but there was a sign on this house that said under contract when I first saw it. And I went, oh, shoot. Like I had walked in and I had walked around. It had everything that I loved. And it had this beautiful big kitchen window. It had this beautiful big bathroom and beautiful big bathroom window. I mean, everything in it was gorgeous. Beautiful lot, nice sized lot. Was in a beautiful, like I think there's a golf course in the back that I've never been a part of, but you can. It's optional. You don't have to be a member to live here. But there's also clubhouse and pool and tennis and all that stuff. And we wanted that. We wanted the social part of all that to be kind of a community. So anyway, by the time I brought him over to look at it, the under contract had kind of fallen off the sign. So we didn't know if it was still under contract or wasn't or whatever. I had called for information, but they hadn't called back yet. And that's that could be a whole other hour with the agent who had actually listed the house. It was an interesting dude. Didn't really like to do his job a whole lot of times. Turns out he really just liked to play golf, which is just right down the road. So anyway, but we ended up getting the house. There were a few things that happened, but at the end of the day, we got the house. And I've never lived anywhere this long. It's really been kind of cool. And like I said, I could sell it tomorrow or not, it just depends. But at the end of the day, it was a lot of little whispers. And when I look back at it, there were probably like 2,000 steps that led us to this house. And if I would have to say, it was kind of my, at the time it was my dream house. It's still kind of my dream house because I love fixing it up all the time and rearranging things. And I'm not knocking out walls anymore, but I'm glad I have that experience too, because when things kind of kick up and I can look at it, not from a place of, oh, can I fix this? But or pick up the phone. So when it comes to, that's kind of a longer story than I wanted to share, but that just gives you an idea of like, sometimes it could be that it's just the smallest of steps. Like you might not have realized you already took the 200 steps leading up to this. Just being on this class is probably about 200 steps for you. in the whole scheme of things of really creating the life that you would like your life to, the energies that you would like your life to be. And a lot of times it does come in the smallest of whispers. So the thing that I want to look at with this is knowing your authentic energies, being clear on what is your energy and what is not. And even if you're not completely there, there's still, there's always going to be something showing you, and then you're going to go, oh, like that interference energy usually feels like this, or it comes in like this. And then once you kind of acknowledge it and banish it, it might come in a different way, but you're much more aware and quicker to grab it and go, no, out. Doesn't have to be a big thing. It's really could simply be choice. You don't have to be connected to anything in order to create whatever is out in your world. For me, and I get that this might help some people. For me, I was really tied to, because also I'm a Libra. I don't go all the way too much into astrology, but I do get like Libras love people. They like to have a comfortable home. They like to be around people. They like to have camaraderie. They like to be a part of groups. They like to think that they're, part of the team, all that stuff. So every part of creation for me was always either deferring to someone else or feeling like I needed to include everybody. And everybody wants to be included. Not everybody's choosing consciousness. Not everybody's going to create the way that you create. But those that do, that energy will be, woo, yeah, let's go. So pay attention to that. And don't stop yourself in any way, because that can be a little sneaky. I'm only saying this because this showed up in my life in a lot of different sneaky ways that I was still kind of deferring to others before moving forward. Don't worry about that. You showing up as your authentic energy, as your own whisper to yourself, is where you can start. And from there, being very clear that you're committed to yourself, you're going to show up in your authentic power, and you're going to walk on. And then from this authentic space that you be, and you own your potency and uniqueness from that space of power, you could ask something like, what energy, space, and consciousness can me and my sweet body be to be the orgasmic energy of potency for all eternity? And just receive whatever those energies are, and anything that doesn't allow that, just oust out. If you were orgasmic energy and at your full potency at all times, what could you create? And now that we've ousted the fact that creation seemed like work, when things really truly fall together, is it like work? Or is it just like orgasmic energy? Moving into this house, I think it took like 4 or 5 days, which was a little bit like, yeah, at the time, but it just, like, everything from there just totally opened up like that. I got more opportunities. My business took off. It like doubled and tripled. I was doing business all the time. I was doing business around the world. People were getting referred to me. It was just, I had expanded my vision, and just by taking a step towards it, opened up all, these 10,000 other things going on. And I look back, that's really how it was. Really kind of cool. And it wasn't I got to hit the pavement, I got to make this happen, I got to make sure I got to make enough money to keep this house. Actually, this house was probably, it's probably 3 times the size of the other house we were in. and we were in a pretty nice big house. But I think the payment difference, like the monthly payment difference, was only like $500 a month. So what are we making significant that's not when we want to lean into something? And what are all the knots that come up? Well, I can't, or the can'ts. I'm just going to have to work 24/7. Or, we can't see the possibility yet. And because we can't see the possibility yet, what does that mean? Well, it means it can come in whispers. And it means that you could start to play with the whispers in an orgasmic way with your being in your body. Get your body involved. Your body is this amazing, expansive, very much smart tool that we're using in this reality as our infinite being self. Not all beings get to have a body, so enjoy it. And where could you have more fun with it? Expand your awareness of it. Expand your awareness to greater and greater impossibilities, and ask those questions to call greater and greater possibilities in that you might not have even considered yet because you have a little bit of blinders on, right? This is the job I've always done. This is the way I've always done business. And right now it's kind of funny because we're kind of all on a quarantine lockdown. Everybody in different levels of it, depending on what part of the world you're in. But if you look at that, people are having to look at connecting with people on a whole different level. Me, it doesn't really change anything because I don't really, I do go out into the world to have fun, but as far as networking, like your average networking event, just my interesting point of view is just doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. I'm an energy that's showing up. I'm not the words that you say in your 1 minute. I'm the energy that shows up. And my business is an energy. And I have a co-creative playfulness with that changes on an ongoing basis. So where could you choose that in your life where you're doing that? And just by being that, it's not that we don't have to do anything or not, it's a guidance system that will lead us to what could be an expansiveness for us. And following the energy is a much easier way. It is the fastest way you can get from where you are to where you want to be. It's the fastest way. Because otherwise, you're going to get caught up in your brain. You're going to get caught up in endless steps of things that you should or shouldn't do and what everybody's telling you to do rather than following your own internal guidance. It's an amazing thing. And it kind of cuts out all those steps that we've been told that we have to do. It's not that we don't have to do them. It's just that there's a lot of times there's a simpler way with just the energy of it all. And when I chose to move into this house and my business was doubling and tripling, and I didn't have to market myself. People would ask me that all the time. How do you compete? And I would say, I don't. Never competed. You know why? That's an ego game. I don't come from the ego. I can't say that I've always not come from the ego, but I don't come from the ego right now. I don't. And I don't have time for BS, and I don't have time for people who do come from that place. I just don't. And it makes life much easier. It's much easier guidance, like compass to see where you want to be. It's a much better compass to kind of see what aligns with you. Not everybody has to agree with me, and not everybody has to be conscious. But I would like, the different things that I do to be a contribution to me and to the person. Definitely has to be a contribution to me. And I'm going to stand in my power and my potency. And if that doesn't mesh with others, then it's okay. See ya. Wish you well. You know, if you're trying to fit into something, that's a big sign. Like, okay, where am I not being my natural, authentic potency here? Where am I not being my natural potency here? And if I could be the energy of creation, fun, and play as the orgasm out in the world, what could that create? And it might be that your energy just is not there yet, and that's okay. Ask the question. You can ask the questions a bazillion times if you need to during the day. I have questions that I've been asking over the last couple of weeks, I've been playing with, that I probably ask hundreds of times a day. I'm not looking for the answer. I'm looking for the energy whispers. So there's a part of this that when you lean in and become more aware and conscious, you will want to just keep leaning in. Even if you don't know what's next, even if you don't know how it's going to show up, even if it seems like it could be impossible that whatever you're asking for could show up, just keep leaning in. You could just be the slightest hairs away from that thing showing up. Because that's what I do know. Like, you ask, it's kind of like what Abraham Hicks says, you ask and it is given. The only distance between you having it and you not having it, or where you are now, is your point of view or your polarity around it, about how it needs to show up, when it could show up, if it could show up between 2 and 5, like the cable man on a Wednesday. Well, we don't put too many stipulations on it. We can have a narrower view of what we want, but when we put too many stipulations on it, we might shut down what could be greater that's trying to come in. We could be the person at the Costco where the lights are all off. We don't realize we're in a whole big warehouse house full of beautiful things, right? But we're looking around with our flashlights, so we see, oh, there's some books, and look, there's some pots and pans, but we're not getting the big picture. That's where going with your awareness is a great thing, because we're not always getting the big picture. But we'll continue to expand on that as we're playing in these energies and creating things out in our world and having things come to fruition. And then it's like, ooh, it's like I kind of think of it as if you have done ancestry.com, where you fill in your family tree. And for me, we're related to Abraham Lincoln. So, and I know that my aunt used to be a court judge, and she had done this big family tree, and none of us can seem to find it, and she's passed away. So I redid it on Ancestry, but they do these things where they put these little leaves out, like, ooh, this could be a possibility that that's kind of how our life is. There's a little leaf that pops up. Once we ask a question, then there's a possibility, and we make a choice. And a leaf could open up over here, like, ooh, not just a leaf. There could be 200 leaves. There could be 800 leaves. There could be 1,000,000 leaves. What is in the forefront of your day? And what are you choosing your day to be? That's what's going to be showing up. So for the people that are going into fear right now, and I'm going to lose my job, or, what's going to happen with that? Because what are you focusing on? So that's where also, like, as we step into a greater awareness, and interference starts to come in different ways. I kind of noticed that when I did something in my own whispers, like we kind of get guidance in little whispers that are our authentic whispers. And when we're creating those whispers, like, oh, I'll just do this little thing over here, not making anything significant where we're throwing up our hands, right? We've already had that conversation, because whatever we're making significant interference doesn't really know why we're making it significant. It just knows we're making it significant. And then its computer program, it goes, significant, okay, let's send something in to Bob or Carol or whoever and see if this will send them sideways for a little while. That's kind of how it works, crazy but true. So when you're doing stuff and you're creating under the radar as the orgasm, and you're really not using words, you're using energies, right? You can't pick up on that as much. And they also can't, like interference can't pick up on joy. You don't see the value in it. Laughter, that kind of thing. So if you're having so much fun and orgasmic energy in your life and you're creating, it's kind of like you're not making it significant. You're just almost like you're really receiving the natural energies that you came in as, so that you can create under the radar in your own whisper. Hopefully that makes sense. So you're not making it significant, like, I'm gonna go, make $1 billion by tomorrow and blah, 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 and I'm gonna call Bob and blah, blah. It's like, what I get with this whisper part of this whole thing is like beyond words. Again, there's an authentic energy that you came in as, actually a set of energies that you came in as, that speak before you even open your mouth. So if that's the case, and that's how everything kind of moves out in the world, where could you use that to your greatest local advantage? To show you the next step, to call in that beautiful home, or call in that beautiful person, partner, or call in that beautiful business that could be an expanse like no other. Where could you call in that? And play with that. Kind of like a kid. It's kind of like if you see a kid in the grocery store and they're just like, they don't have a point of view. They just want everything, right? Like they want what they want. What if you could be like that from a place of a whisper, not significance, not the kid who's like flailing themselves down on the ground screaming if they don't get, the Pez dispenser or whatever that is. What if you could just, it's a natural creation that really is within your own space, that you don't have to call attention to, only from an energetic standpoint that can pull the greatest possibilities in for you. And hopefully that's not too airy-fairy, but that's the way that I see creation being in my world, especially when you're choosing consciousness, because interference can come in a lot more different ways, and you want to be really clear and playful, because again, they don't see the value in that. They don't see the value in joy. They don't see the value in playful, and they would like you to think that you're not as powerful as you are, but you are. So this week, the exercise that I initially had was going out into the world as the orgasm. How much fun you could have with that. Just being the energy of that. Which tap into the energy of that. Tap into the energy of the orgasm. If we weren't making it right or wrong or good or bad or defending for or against or righteous for or against, what could we choose there? It's the natural energy that we came in with. It's the natural energy that we were created out of. So we're really just matching our natural energy. And then we're going out into the world and playing with it in a way that shows others that possibility. And just imagine what our planet would be like if you were able to give everyone you were around the energy of the orgasm, the energy of creation, fun, and play. That is under the radar. because interference is like, beep, bop, boop, bop, do not compute. Do not compute. And now that you're clear of the energy that has stopped you in the past, you can incinerate and go beyond to the fun, play, and creation every single day. Nothing has to stop you. You don't have to buy into anything in this reality. You don't have to buy into the stop is real. You don't have to buy into the distractor is real, fear, blame, shame, regret, guilt. I have all the whole list on the website. If any of those show up, no, just out it. Just out it. It's not yours. It's not the natural energy you came in as. It's not the natural energy that you have to choose. You could, everything's a choice. You could choose it. You could choose it. Okay, I'm going to choose fear today. Cool. What could we do with that? Well, chances are you're probably not going to create a lot and you're going to stay in sideways. So chances are not a lot. And it's funny because in traditional marketing, like they'll play on fears and needs and wants and desires and fantasies and all those things. And really, at the end of the day, it's all a distractor from your natural orgasmic energy. You could even say, like, hey, if I were the orgasm today, who could come out and play? In work, in relationship, in whatever that is for you. Go have some fun with it on whatever level that is. What if you could dress up in something that your body just like oozes as sexy to you? Whether you're a guy or a girl, doesn't matter. Like you have those clothes that you know fit well and you walk well, you're walking tall, strutting your stuff, bringing you all sexy, as I used to say on my radio show. It's like there's an energy to that. I remember going to Australia and I went to a class and there were lots of bigger women. And it didn't really matter the shape. There are lots of shapes, lots of sizes, tall, short, whatever. You could tell it didn't matter like what somebody weighed, any of that, like their body shape or whatever. The way somebody was dressed and that they were walking tall and strutting their stuff didn't matter because they were an energy. They were the energy, orgasmic energy of them. They were the orgasmic possibility of them. So whatever, your body can tell you what it would like to wear every day. That might be something that I'll add to the sheet. Like ask your, hey body, what do you want to wear today? When I first started doing that, I hesitated in doing it. And then I was doing all these weird combinations of colors and shoes and this and that. And it made me realize that I can get pretty comfortable. Like if I like a shirt, I want to get 5 of them in different colors. Like if I like a pair of pants and they fit well, then I want to get 5 of them. And so what is that? It's like there's not a whole lot of different things. So I was asking my body what it wanted to wear, and it was showing up in all these really cool combinations, all in stuff that I had in my closet, some of it that I forgot that I had. And that'll still happen today when I remember to ask that question. So you could ask your body what you want to wear today and what would bring out your most expansive orgasmic energy. And then if you can't get out, that's not a big deal. You can probably do it in a different way. Maybe reach out to somebody on Zoom or try to do a face chat with a new person, but choose somewhere new and different or somebody new and different out in the world. I say here, like restaurant, coffee shop, sporting event or other, it needs to be somewhere you've never been before. So let's go new. Maybe there's some new social media that you haven't tried out yet. There's TikTok, there's Pinterest, there's Instagram, I'm sure there's ones that I haven't even mentioned, Facebook, etc., LinkedIn. I like to go and play in LinkedIn because I don't play at it that often, and I used to have a lot of points of view around it that it was business and boring, but it's not. I've actually met some really cool people on there, or maybe listen to some new books or some new podcasts, or look for some new books, do something different. Like if you sit down and have a glass of orange juice every night at 6 p.m. and then you have your dinner at 8, Maybe try to do that either later or earlier. Just whatever that is for you, shake it up a bit, shift it around, and send your orgasmic energy to where you have chosen to go before you head out there. And so this might be it, since those of us who were kind of quarantined in, you could play with that online. Play with that out towards people on Zoom or people on LinkedIn or people on Facebook. Play with the energy as you are on your way there. And then if there's somebody you haven't talked to in a while and you see them talking on Facebook, like, if they want to have a quick chat. Connect in different and creative ways for yourself and see where you could place that orgasmic energy of you, and then also give the other person or people the possibility of being in that energy also. What it usually does when I go out that way in the world, it's like there's just a lightness, there's a fun, there's no judgment, there's a playfulness that's like no other, and people just don't want you to leave. Like, I remember I used to do this game of Who Wants to Buy Me a Drink, and I would go out with a friend of mine, and we went, I think one night we went into this place down in town, and there were a ton of people traveling that were there on business, and we started talking to people from all over the world, and I think we were in there for like 2 hours. We got food bought for us, we got drinks bought for us, people were joking with us. I was asking everybody all kinds of questions, and then I go, oh gosh, look at the time, I gotta go. And people were like, you're not going, are you? Like that energy of expansion, and then not only that, but asking people questions and listening to the answer. How often do people do that today? So where could you show up differently in the world as the orgasm and show people another possibility? And then it's like people don't want you to leave. They're like, I'll have some more of that. And yeah, I'll have some of that. And you can do this in your energy and acknowledging to yourself, or actually talk with them if your body and being want to, but it's up to you. So really, you could play energy wise, you could play speaking with people wise, or you could do a little bit of both. But what I would say is, like, what could show up differently this week for you, even if you are quarantined? Could you call somebody you don't know that well? Could you reach out to a friend you haven't seen in a while? Could you, take your dog for a walk in a different park that you haven't been to before? Any and all of that. And then play in the energy of that. And then put that out in the world however that shows for you. It could be that you're asking people a bunch of sexy questions. It could be that you're asking yourself a bunch of sexy questions. It could be that you're just showing up as the energy of you out in the world, and see what that shows up to be. And then see what that creates for them and you. And how did this exercise, and then ask yourself, like, how did this exercise make others feel? How did it make you feel? And where could you use that technique in your everyday life to expand all and have magic show up? This is just exercising the muscle of magic in a really fun and cool, energetic way. And do what works for you. And you would not use this daily for what reason, is what I say. Because it's not a part of our repertoire every day. But what if it could be? What if you could do it for the next 20 days? They usually say if you do something for 20 days or more, then it's just kind of becomes a habit and you're just used to doing it. Although in some ways that could be an so tap into how much of an expansion, I can't talk today, expansion that could be for you if you made it a habit. Not in the form of, but just in the form of opening up this possibility and then going out to different places in the world that you don't normally go to and see what possibilities show up. What could that create in your life? you're living in your reality? What could it create for your family? What could it create for those around you? What could it create for the people you interact with? Generally, what could it create? What if we don't have to connect the way that everybody tells us we have to connect? Seems like most of the people that I work with, especially one-on-one, just supposedly happen to find me. No matter how that shows up. It could be from my radio show. I'm merging that over to a podcast now, but I got to get that rolling. And or through meeting me at an event, or meeting me at a speaking engagement, or seeing my books on Amazon, or whatever all that is, like, or through a friend who might have had a session with me or something, or who had worked with me. I do get a lot of word of mouth. So where could the energy of you meet the world energy, the earth energy, and have an orgasmic party under the radar, not making any of it significant? But yeah, what I was saying earlier is, like, most people I've worked with a long time say that I'm very subtle and kind of understated about what I do sometimes. Like, they say you're very subtle, but when I get it, I get it. And it might have been that you've told me that in different ways, like however many times it took. And then you're just like, and then one day you go, oh, and that helps develop that muscle so that I can lean in greater to whatever the possibility is, right? So what unimaginable future is out there for you with all of this? And how could you play today and not have a point of view about how any of it could show up or who could show up? Yeah, pretty cool, huh? So that's my task for you this week. I'm going to adjust this sheet a little bit since we're at this point in time of the taping in a little bit of a quarantine, a world quarantine, but still play with it. You can still play with energies. You can still connect with people virtually. You can still change up your day to do different things that could be a really great contribution to you. And then if anything pops up for you, or you get anything gets kicked up for you, please reach out to me or my team at carol@carolrineley.com, and have fun in the orgasmic energy of this week. Big love to you all. I wish you the best this week. You have the power, so just keep stepping. Big love.